Hello, can you hear me?
It's been a while. It's good to see you, Vanya. That's me at the Good Info Cafe. And our prayers are with all the people of Kazakhstan, all the people, everybody. And I want to say to Dimash and the people of Kazakhstan, right there, Kazakhstan. There is love over here in America. We are ready for Dimash, but we know it's hard to break into the American market, right? That's what we're talking about today.
Yes.
Okay.
I know that dears missed you. They asked me when JK will come again, and now we have a chance to talk.
Excellent. Info artist JK is right here. Welcome to my studio. And so, like I said, the Good Info Cafe. So I have my notes here, and I have some notes over here. And so Vanya gave me questions that I've been preparing. So I'll address those questions, and then maybe you have some after that or during it, right?
Yeah, we can go on. We can start.
Okay. Well, Dimash and team, there is love over here in America. All right. And also there's a lot of resistance here in America. We're going to talk about that, right? So the first question that Vanya asked me, and also if people want to submit questions after this video, and we can do another session with questions from the dears. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we can ask dears to write their questions in comments, and then we can make another one video.
And also doing a live maybe, and we can talk about.
Oh yeah, sure.
Because I'll make sure I stay in the lane. I won't talk about other things. So we can talk about that, right?
Yeah.
About doing a live one, and I will.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So the first question Vanya asked me was the meaning of Billboard in America. Okay, so I became aware of it when I was a little kid, 1970, because I would buy the records, the 45s, and Billboard was the one who was ranking what's the most popular. So Billboard was already cruising along, and it turns out that Billboard was founded, where are we? 1894. It's right up here. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
So Billboard has been around for more than 100 years in America. And then in 1900, they put offices in New York, Chicago, San Francisco, London, and Paris. Mm-hmm. So already in 1900, 122 years ago, they were already around the world in London and Paris. So they started off, Billboard means a billboard, an advertisement. It started out as a billboard, like, mm-hmm. Come to our show, announcing a big show, come to see the show. That's what a billboard is. You're driving on the highway, you see a billboard. It says advertising.
It's like a big board for any kind of listing.
For any kind of advertising in a show.
Yeah.
So you can get it now, dears. You can understand it in the name. It started off announcing. So now it says, here's the most popular songs. It's just announcing. It's the same thing it's always been since 1894. They just expand and adjust to the market, right? So then it's owned by Eldridge Industries. It's owned by Eldridge Industries, which is a huge multinational corporation. They own MRC, which owns Billboard. So it's a big international company that then has smaller investments in smaller companies. And the CEO of Eldridge Industries, his name is Todd Bowley. Mm-hmm. He went to school right down the road here. Mm-hmm. The chief executive officer of the big company that owns a smaller one that owns Billboard went to school right here, a private all-boys school that I know pretty well. I don't know him.
Do you know him? Okay.
I don't know. He's about 15 years younger than me. He graduated in 91 from Landon all-boys school. But I know people who went, whatever. But I just kind of thought that was interesting. So Billboard, and it's all about entertainment. And you know what Dimash calls entertainment? He calls it show business because he is a 360 artist. Can you see that? 360?
Yeah.
Up in the corner there?
360 degrees.
Yeah, but 360 degrees, meaning he's an artist where he has the cologne, he has, fashion, he's model. He has obviously his music, which is everything, which is the key. But has a restaurant now? I mean, you tell me. I think I saw that they opened a restaurant.
Yeah.
So
he's going to open it in March. In Dubai. And he also will be there from 15th of March to the end of March, and he will also have a concert, solo concert
March
in
25th.
Dubai.
Yeah, that's 2 days before my wedding anniversary.
Oh,
my 29th year. Almost 30 years wedding.
Yeah. that's very, very good date for a very long time.
Yes, we give each other space. So far, it's working. It's working. Dimash, this is the key. There's two big keys I want to say for today. Dimash, he wants to grow his music and culture in America, right? Right, dears? Dimash wants to do it, so let's help him. Because a lot of people waste a lot of energy saying, oh, Dimash doesn't need America. Oh, America's crazy or terrible, whatever. Yeah, remember, the Dimash guy, he gets a say in this. He wants to come to America. And we know that he already came here. And America, the bad part of America during the world's best, which was the world's worst show, but Dimash was the world's best. He ends up competing against a young girl that he's held from Kazakhstan. That's the American Western market that is not, that is bad, right? Dimash is like, I want to step aside. And they're like, you can't do that. And he did it. Great job, Dimash. You said no to the machine. So because Dimash wants to come here, the Deers, the most important, the contrast with the American music, the American Western market, and Dimash says it, he loves his Deers and he appreciates the Deers because he couldn't do it without the Deers, but Deers couldn't do it without him. You know, it's a team. And this is such a key with what everyone's been doing on Twitter, right? With the Billboard Trending 100, is that what it's called officially?
Hot Trending Songs.
Hot Trending Songs, Billboard Hot Trending Songs, only based on Twitter, right?
Yes.
All right. Because the Deers stepped up with MTV, he did great. Now the Deers are stepping up with Billboard. That is going to be huge for growing and getting bigger in the American market because there's a lot of the bad part that just wants money. They want to exploit artists. And we can look at all those artists who got exploited in America. I mean, even Elvis and Michael Jackson, they died young. You know, the market used them up and then they were done, threw them away, chewed them up, spit them out. Prince, it happened to Prince. Happens to so many artists. And Dimash is smart and his team is smart and has got a good family and his dad is in charge of the managing. And that's a good thing because his dad's also a good, smart guy. So we're going to have to break through the bad part of the American Western market by stepping up every time there's a challenge. And another question that you asked is how is it compared, Billboard? How important is it, right? That's why I told you 1894. It's been important the whole time. And the top 20 best-selling artists of all time, Beatles, Elvis, Michael Jackson, Elton John, Rihanna, Madonna, you know, all those guys, nobody got in here without Billboard. Nobody. They all went through Billboard. So I did want to say MTV was here. Billboard is a step up. You were asking about that.
Is it like MTV is a kind of school and the Billboard is a kind of university?
Yeah. And then Grammy would be the PhD. Would be the big one. And then you just manage your career after that. But those are things to climb. And nobody, well, here's important. Of the top 20 greatest selling artists of all time, they all went through, not as MTV as much, because that was the 1980s when that started. I actually saw the first show. It was 1981, I think, something like that. I was living in California and having a chance to meet Ringo Starr, and I turned it down, recording my music in Santa Barbara. And here comes MTV. So, you know, Michael Jackson went through MTV. So MTV is important, but Billboard, 1894. And then they started the hit parade. What are the top songs in the 1920s, 1930s? And all they do is adjust how to make their lists. So, okay, social media is now where people are popular. All right, now we're going to get a list from social media. We'll get it from Twitter. So if they continue to adjust, they'll be just as important as they've always been. Does that make sense?
Yeah. If I get it right, Billboard is #1 in America. I mean, yeah. in ratings, if it
in terms of lists,
without Grammy, yeah.
In terms of making lists, so everyone, oh, what's #1? Oh, that's #1. Oh, I want mine's #5. I want mine to become #1, and people still watch that. But there are more dynamics, and if it gets bad ownership or bad managers, it could go away. But it's been able to survive 130 years or whatever, you know, a long time.
Yeah.
So after Billboard, yes, Grammy. But I guess what I want to say is Elvis didn't win a Grammy until he was like 30 years old, I think, something like that. He was already cruising, and that's where Dimash is. He doesn't have to win the Grammy right now because Elvis was new sound. It was rock and roll. It was new. And the adults said, oh, he's moving his hips. It's terrible. And they filmed him from the waist up so you couldn't see his legs moving. And so it was, So he had to do it with the fans. That's what I'm saying. The Deers worldwide, and now the internet, Deers from all over the world can influence Dimash in the American market. So the Beatles didn't win right away with Grammys because they were also the mop tops and the long hair and their thugs and, all these screaming girls. They weren't popular right away with the establishment, with the older people. They were only with the young. What's different about Dimash, he's popular with every age. Every age. Oh, well, he's still trying to get the younger. Yeah, he hasn't got the youngers yet. Right? Would you agree?
Yeah.
He's got some, but I would say it's more like 30 and over or 35 and over, something like that. Whatever you guys think. Maybe the Deers can answer that when in the comments, to respond to whatever we're saying. All right. So, yeah, then MTV, Billboard, Grammy. All right. So I think that does that. So then what benefits Dimash can get from Billboard? We kind of just mentioned that. It's a step towards the Grammy and getting into the American market. What Billboard can get by, this is a great question that you asked. What can Billboard get by Dimash being on their chart, right? He brings fans that would never be there. So Billboard, MTV, guess what? Dimash brought millions of fans to your platform. And he's bringing people from all over the world to Billboard who didn't know about it, right? I've been following it since 1970 because I'm being a musician and interested like that. So I know that's the big one. That's it, so anyway, they would get, more quality. They would get something different. He would enhance. They would be lucky to have him. They are lucky to have. So Billboard will gain actual new users and viewers that will up their value, and he will bring quality. Now, another thing I want to address about, he does different genres, like Pavarotti, Michael Jackson, and Freddie Mercury, and more. And he's got some jazz. He does jazz runs. He doesn't sing jazz yet, but he does jazz runs. His runs are already, you can see the influence. He doesn't have a lot of bluesy in him yet. That would be an area for him to develop. Oh, before I forget, because I didn't write it down. You asked what songs. So Vanya just asked me this morning in WhatsApp, Dimash has 30 songs that are awesome. More than that, but he's got a lot of songs. And Vanya asked me, which one would be best for breaking in the American market, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You ready for my answer?
Sure, I'm writing down.
I don't know. Other than Be With Me, that's the type. And he wrote it for that. I could tell he did it to be exciting and for the younger crowd. Then Fly Away is another one. And then I couldn't think of others, and here's why. I think an important move or a good move would be him to connect with some really good American female artist and do a duet with her. And we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
That could be a launching pad, a thing that would get him noticed. But a good one, because we've named some artists, and then people are like, well, she did this, and she did that, and she's this, and there aren't a lot of wholesome female artists. Taylor Swift is wholesome.
Yeah.
She probably wouldn't like that I said that, but she's wholesome. But I don't see him doing a duet with her. So it's really tricky who he could do it with. Maybe her, H-E-R. She seemed like she was pretty cool. Maybe Billie Eilish, but people will probably say, no, she does this and this and this. But she...
Maybe Adele.
Adele. Okay. Yes. Possibility. Yeah. So that's, to me, I think that would be more important than what song. Because his songs, the American market doesn't have those yet. So he needs to get seen, like in MTV and Billboard, and that would be exposure. Then people would start to be more open to this music that's a whole new sound. So he takes pop and opera and classical and rock and Kazakh folk and turns them into a new sound. He's creating a new sound, and this is how you know. Others are starting to copy him. When Elvis came along, they started to copy Elvis. And Elvis was copying, R&B and African-American music. And he said that. He said, I give it to, because he did gospel also in the churches. And I guess I'm going to dispel something right now. People say that Elvis, was a country boy and didn't like other groups. He loved everybody. And he loved African-Americans. He loved European Americans. He loved Asian Americans. He liked everybody. and he loved everybody. And so that's a stupid rumor that, you know, whatever. I wanted to address that. So where was I? So he's creating a whole new sound. So he needs visual exposure for them people to start listening to the other stuff. And he doesn't have to do the range it's not that. Here's one other thing. If he, like over here, the song, There Is Love Over Here, that one, I'm going to say something and you can edit it out if you want. That simple one that he did that was recorded at a rehearsal, the recording that we have of Over Here,
I remember you told me that that was
beautiful.
Much more better than last week.
Yes, it is. It is. Yeah. It's simple. And other deers say that. They say that in the comments. Don't try to make it some big, huge song and make Damash sing all this. He delivers. Think about it. His ability to deliver a song with just keeping it a smaller range is even more incredible to add to his weapons that he has, to add to his popularity. He's not trying to go all over the place. And I know that it's the guy who wrote, one of those songwriters wants it to be a big epic piece. They changed the lyrics. Love is not over yet. Like, oh, wow, how inspiring. Love's not over. It's going to be over, but it's not over yet. Like, wow, I don't want to hear that. It's not over yet. Wow. Love over here is powerful. It's so powerful. I know those lyrics aren't complete either, the original ones. You know, I just tried to interpret them the best I could, but the concept is there. And it is. So that's a kind of song. See, in America, like Billie Eilish, right? She's not going huge and big. She's delivering a song. And Damash can deliver songs. He just has pressure from the songwriters and from people like, oh, hit the high note, oh, low notes. And also, and he's done it. He's done songs that have a smaller range because the song doesn't need that. He can deliver it. He means the song. He doesn't talk about his range. Another thing I want to say to Deer is it's better to say he has a huge range. And if you have to pick a number, say 6+ octaves, because 6+ octaves, just say that. Because that's exciting, because he does have like about 6 3 half steps that he's actually can do. But most people can't really, 80% of people can carry a tune, but they can have a range of maybe 1.5 octaves. When you get to 2 octaves, you're starting to be a singer. 3 octaves is amazing already, and 4 is crazy. So you don't have to say 7 octaves. You can say 5+, and it's still amazing. You can say 4+. But they get excited about Damash, and so they want to say how great he is. You don't need to exaggerate. 3 octaves is a lot, and he can do 6. So anyway, I wanted to get that out there. Any superstar who came to U.S. through Billboard charts from outside the U.S., yeah, every single one went through Billboard. Not necessarily MTV, because that hasn't been around as long, and it got weaker. MTV is not, but that was a good stepping step for Damash to do MTV, then Billboard, and then eventually to the Grammy, because Damash wants to win a Grammy. Damash does. So Deers, don't waste time talking about he doesn't need a Grammy. I agree. He will improve the Grammy because it's all about showing the skin and the movement, and there's a lot of manufactured, not authentic stuff. He will bring authenticity, heart. The thing that's great about Damash, he's got heart, but he's also getting a PhD. So he's got the mind, he's got the heart, he's got the whole package. Of course, that's why I'm excited about it. All right, then you asked, the majority of Asian K-pop artists, some are on this hot trending songs from Twitter. So my guess is because those fans, BTS, that's one of the groups, right? Those fans are really good at influencing social media. That's my answer. Why it's mostly K-pop Asian artists, because they're really good at how to speed and typing and copy and paste. That's my guess. Every once in a while Adele will get in, and Taylor Swift and some others, but I think it's dominated by that because of so many sitting at home. And we want to know that Damash fans are outside, are doing other things, are not just stuck on their computer, right? Yeah. There is love over here. So this is Damash. This represents the world. See where your country is, everybody, because Damash is in every place in the world, including America and the West, but he wants to break in farther. And see, that's the key, is there has to be the fans have to push it so that they go, okay, all right, we have to push it. Just like with Elvis and the Beatles. It was the young people pushing them. Now it's every age group, or 30 and over. I'd like to hear what the Deers, the commenters, say, in terms of sections. I don't think he's got the 20-something. That's my kids. And one of the things they say is they want him to be a little more bluesy and a little more just not have to do all the stuff. He can do both. but I think adding some blues to him.
I can also ask you about Latin American. We think that he needs to make a big concert at Latin America, or maybe a few concerts, because he has a lot of fans in Latin America. What do you think?
That's a great idea. As a matter of fact, Dimash, part of breaking into America more, that might be a big, important step if he went through South America, Central America, because that's right under us. I think that is a great idea. If his next concert, if he's looking for setting it up, he'll have incredible fans in South America. It'll be in the news, and it will come to him. The news will then break into American news.
Oh,
great idea.
Maybe he could sing a song in Spanish.
He would, and say, "You got it." They would go crazy, and he should not say that he's going to do that. Just surprise him if he does set up a concert, and he's doing the concert, and all of a sudden he goes into a song in Spanish. They will go nuts. I'm getting goosebumps. They will go nuts. Those are two excellent ideas. Looking for what other future concerts? South America, Central America, somewhere, Mexico. Those places can be a little more security. You need sometimes. But if they get that set up and they're okay with the team, that could be an important step. If they are getting frustrated with breaking into America, it's still not happening, go to South America and Central. That's great. One of the important things that you guys do is you teach how to do it, right? How to get on Twitter, because he has older fans who aren't doing this all the time. So that's really key. So all the deers who responded to not being good at that and getting good at it, that is fantastic. So keep it up. And actually, Dimash doing well on Billboard is totally because of older people learning how to, and younger people too, but the ones who had to learn it, that shows action and effort, because Dimash inspires people in their lives and inspires them to actually, there's some fans who just like listening, but to actually have to act on it. So Deers, great job. MTV, because of the Deers. Billboard, because of the Deers. So keep it up, Deers. This is an important part of Dimash and his team breaking in the American Western market. As an American right here, so important.